What's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm absolutely excited. This was an interview long in the making. I'm absolutely excited to be joined by today's guest, who, in my opinion, is coming out of one of the best gyms in Australia right now, and is one of the premier talents to look at on the regional scene in terms of up-and-coming talents. He faces Kevin Kophamel at Eternal 85 in a fight that I think, should he win, there are big things in the making for this young fighter out of Lions Den Academy in Sydney, Australia, the pride of Colombia, the pride of Sydney, Australia. I am joined by El Toro himself, Joseph Davis, and you can't see him buzzing by the intro, but Joe,
Yeah, I
thank you
love
so
it.
much for your time, brother. Finally, we
Thank
get
you.
to sit down and have a chat. How has
Finally.
everything been?
Beautiful, man. No, thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. Like you said, long time coming. I know we've been chatting for a while, and I've been very keen to get on an interview with you and just have a chat with you in general, man. So awesome to be here. Thank you very much.
No, yeah, definitely. Last time we spoke, obviously, after your last fight, and like you were just taking some time away to really just get life in order and just taking some time to yourself. But now you're coming back in massive fashion with the fight against Kevin Kophamel at Eternal 85. It feels like the Lions Den boys right back in full swing. I know there was a little bit of a limbo period for some of the boys, just holiday or like injuries and all the little niggles. But talk to me a little bit just about getting back on track with this fight and how everything's been since the fight with Sep Zale.
Yeah, well, like you just mentioned, I think there was when you have so many people running hot for a while, it's good to just take a step back and recover and reflect. And I think um like that last fight with Seb Saleh, I think it was a good opportunity for me to do exactly that, you know? So yeah, exactly like you said. But that being said though, I'm absolutely like buzzing to get back in there, and the training camp has been phenomenal. I've established a very, very good routine, and the stuff we've been working on at the Den and with all the boys has been awesome. So, like, I'm looking forward to this fight quite a lot. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. And what Coach Luke Pezzati has done at Lions Den Academy has just been amazing. We talk every interview you see with me and the Lions Den boys. It's always me praising just the program that you guys have got there. And like you said, just waiting for the right timing and the Kevin Kopamo time coming at honestly one of the best times of the year. Summertime, really great time to stay active. What's it been like for you? I know you guys have been there for a minute, or you, George Mongos, Chris Ustajanovsky, Michael Stanoff, Marwan Rahiki, who's been doing insane as of late, just the boys, and also Leonidas Katsiaris, can't forget him, and Alan Philpott. Alan's going to be watching this because he thinks I forgot about him, but just a few of the guys, sorry if I'm missing anyone, but the core group of guys at Lions Den, it's hard not to get excited about any one of your guys' fights, and especially after what Mike did this past weekend. I mean, insane.
Yeah.
What's it been
What a
like for
knockout, huh?
you? What a knockout. Unbelievable. But I mean,
Yeah.
what's it been like for you just to see the progression of the gym? I know you've been with the gym for quite some time. What's it been like for you just to see the evolution and what Coach Luke has been able to build at Lions Den Academy?
Well, yeah, like you said, I've been at the gym. Well, this is the only MMA gym I've been at, and it's really a place where Luke, in many ways, has raised me to be the fighter that I am now. He's been with me from day one, and to see the gym prosper and have that growing family, it's had a positive effect on me, of course, and it's really, really great to see that. And the thing with Luke is that Luke Pizzuti has been in the MMA game for a long, long time, and he's trained some of the greats. I remember, I think he had Hector Lombard. Like, this is before my time, but I think Hector Lombard was one of the ones that were trained at the Den, and then of course OG names like that, and then you have the CFC days and everything. So like, Luke is definitely a coach that's been of like high prestige for a long, long time, but I think it's been a case of right time, right place, right people. We have all this talent, raw talent, come together in one place where it starts to thrive. And because we're like all good boys that are like able to compete and push each other to the limits, you can start to see that talent turn into results. And that's where you see the streaks that we've had so far, even with, I guess, of course there are some losses that are inevitable, but even with that, you see these guys bounce back, including myself, bounce back and get right back into the game and go in unfazed and, go in as if on the same path because the plan remains the same. We're all there to make it big. I'm here to make it big. And we're just continuing on down on that path.
No, yeah, definitely. And iron sharpens iron, I think, would be such a valid term to use
Yeah,
or
that's
phrase
a
to
perfect
use
way to describe it.
for
Yeah.
Lionsden Academy and just what you guys have been able to do there. Because it feels like in Australia and Australia alone, the level between amateur and professional is almost one. Of course, it's
Mm.
just, I think, really, it's only separated by a label. But we see that with all the gyms in Australia, the level from amateur to pro, it's not that much of a big jump because you guys are training like pros every single day, 3 sessions a day, staying on regimen, staying on diet, doing strength and conditioning. You're practically living like pros without the title, basically like semi pros. And that's just the labeling. What's it been like for you just to see that difference between Australia as an overall scene where the level is consistent across the board compared to other regional scenes maybe where the level you can see a distinct drop off or a big drop off between pro and amateur.
Mm. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there where like the transition from amateur to professional was not very different for me at all. Like for all the reasons you've just said, where the training is just as like high expectations, high standards, they stay the same. We cut weight the same way. We just as amateurs, you just don't get paid. You go for 3 minutes instead of five. But I mean, those will be the only two real differences. You've got all these guys that are going from amateur to pros, and you don't see too much of a difference, or like these guys getting exposed too much because, like you just said, these guys like across all of Australia, you see these guys training through as if they are pros already. And you can see some of the guys getting signed as the UFC and everything like that. It's a really, really good sign for Australia because, I'm, I know I have Colombian heritage, but I'm Aussie at the end of the day, like I'm born and raised here. And it speaks, great volumes of what's coming next for like Aussie fighters. And yeah, pretty much like it's good. There's good things coming our way. There's big opportunities coming our way. Um, just because of like how we all train. I think as well the MMA community in Australia is so small and tight knit that it's almost like there's no room for that drop off that you sometimes see maybe in bigger places, where like maybe amateurs isn't treated as seriously. Where here, man, you've got amateur shows that are produced the same way as professional shows, and you'll have mixed shows as well.
One thing that really stands out to me about Australia, especially, is the sense of identity in the whole scene. When you talk about Australian MMA, you talk about Australian MMA, and of course, there's a lot of different people from different ethnic backgrounds, like you mentioned yourself, Colombian as well, but also proudly repping Australia. There's a sense of
Yeah.
identity and cohesion in the space, which I feel like is a testament to just how far it's come. Because I feel like if there's any country that's done so much with so little, it has to be Australia because they've been able to build a scene basically out of nothing, just out of sheer
Mm.
willpower and determination. And you see that with guys like Alexander Volkanovski, like Robert Whitaker, and even the pioneers before them, like John Wayne Parr, like Mark Hunt, and right now, time and time again, we're seeing Australia proving again that they're paving the way towards making MMA a mainstream sport. What do you make of this overall evolution in Australian MMA? From when you started, it was vastly different to what it is now. So, what's been your biggest takeaway from when you first started to now?
It's very, very exciting, like I'm very excited for it. When I first started, like the real Aussie name that I would have known back in early high school, when I first started MMA, it would have been Robert Whitaker, would have been the only Aussie MMA fighter you really knew, and Mark Hunt as well, and like the OGs kind of thing. But now, like as I've gone on in my career, you can also see the spike in fighters in the UFC and even in other organizations as well. My main takeaway is I'm expecting a lot of opportunities for a lot of us as well, where not just at the den but everywhere, and what that. says to me is that there'll be a very, very big window of opportunity for myself as well, because where that competition from Australia is flowing into mainstream viewership, like UFC and everything like that, then there's going to be opportunity for myself to make it big as well.
No, yeah, definitely. And one thing that stood out to me especially is the difference in every year in opportunities received in Australia. Just right now at the time of this interview, for fans of the Australian regional scene, you see Josh Togo signs with the PFL, Quillen
Yeah,
Salkill, Dana White Contender Series opportunities. Opportunities are coming left and right. Even the PFL, Chelsea Hawkins facing Dakota Decheva, and then Rob Wilkinson. Just the opportunities, so many different promotions, so many different, opportunities heading towards Australia. It's a testament to the scene, and I feel like in part, you look at Australia as a collective. The people in Australia, yourself, you are balancing so many different things from being a full-time student to being, training full-time to working. It's not an easy task, but I feel like Australians, whether it's with trade certificates or like working as a trainee or apprenticeships, like you guys make it work somehow. What's it been
mm,
like for you to be able to kind of like balance all of that, being able to balance it, seeing other people being able to balance it, and how's that kind of helped you in terms of your overall mindset towards mixed martial arts?
yeah. Well, I've had quite a bit of help and guidance from all my friends and all the boys from the gym in terms of like finding that sort of balance, because as you said, it's a bit of a grind sometimes. Studying uni, working, and then training full time as well. And you can't put a half-assed effort into training at all, because you're there to win the fight. You're not there to just show up. I'm not there for a participation award. I'm there to win. So um, what it is hard sometimes, but I think I've also been very, very fortunate in how I've found that balancing act, or how I've found that balance between everything. Um, the main thing that I can say about that is that like it's a lot of planning and sticking to like the planning. Like sometimes I'll have to rush from work to go to training, but I'll do that, and I'll do that consistently. Maybe I've got a assignment coming up. I'm lucky this time because no uni right now. It's holiday, so that's no stress right now, which is perfect. But you take opportunities at those times. You can't back down from any opportunity, and it's hard sometimes because you will have to prioritize training over other things. And I think my main thing is that like my number one priority is fighting. In spite of everything else. Even though I am a student and I enjoy my studies and everything like that, there is avenues for me to put that on the back seat for a little while whilst I'm fighting. I've done that before, and I'll do that again, because like I'll never say no to a fight, and yeah, basically I make sure that everything's planned out beforehand too. I tend to like go through like plans in my head and everything like that. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely mapping it out and just the routine. I feel like of being a fighter, it helps a lot in terms of balancing a lot of other avenues in life. I know a lot of fighters, just having that disciplined lifestyle of being able to train 24/7 and just being able to stay on top of everything. It helps in different avenues of life. And I know for you specifically, you mentioned earlier just your ethnic roots and being proud of where you come from. Obviously, not only just Australia but also Colombia. I wanted to ask you a little bit about just your heritage, and you look at combat sports, Colombian MMA, Julio Arce, Sabina
Yeah.
Mazo, Brian Barberena, Juan Camilo Ronderos, just to name a few of the guys and gals. What's it been like for you just to be able to have two different complete harmonies between Colombian MMA and Australian MMA? You're able to look to both and kind of find inspiration from either or.
It's definitely encouraging to see the amount of not just Colombian but even Latino fighters in the UFC, It is a cultural heritage of mine. I've been raised, I like to say I've been raised in a Latino house because, I only speak Spanish at home kind of thing, like I'm not just Latin by blood, I am here growing up in like the culture at home kind of thing, even though I am Aussie though. So, like you just said, it's not like I'm not taken away from one identity or the other. I am, I'm Aussie, and even though my background is Colombian, but like it's nice to see. that side of my heritage like on that platform as well, and that gives me a lot of excitement. And it'll be nice to once I'm on the international stage to give my credit and pay tribute to my background as well, my heritage, and it'll also provide a lot of backing for me. And these guys, I know I've spoken to people overseas and from my family and everything like that, and even they tell me it's very nice to see like someone from that kind of background, from this background, to have the ambition to go for it, and it's I'm also very blessed to be here in Australia though, because Australia definitely has what I think is an elevated platform for opportunity, especially now, especially at this time, more than any time.
No, yeah, definitely. And, just in terms of, like you said, you're not kind of alienating one identity or the other, but you're also,
Yeah.
really representing both with absolute pride, which is how I feel it should be. And Joe, Joe, just the overall sentiment I think towards Australian MMA right now is overwhelmingly positive. And right now, I feel like you, on top of that, I don't think you're getting enough credit for what you've been able to accomplish in your short yet illustrious career thus far. You look at your amateur career. I think 6-0 if I remember correctly as an amateur. And on top of that, of course, your only pro blemish to a guy that's literally fighting in I was gonna say PFL, the Eternal Grand Prix tournament for
Mm.
145ers. You fought the best of the best in Australia, and you've stayed absolutely disciplined throughout the way. At only 23 years of age, what's it been like for you to kind of be able to navigate the scene and find that kind of success so early on in your young career?
Well, I again, I was very, very lucky, I think, in many, many ways to have found the coach that I found, and to have taken everything on board, and find the opportunity, because a lot of those opportunities, especially, I'll tell you a quick story with Luke Vidler. I took that fight on 1 week's notice, and I wasn't expecting to have that fight. And that fight elevated me in terms of ranking and everything like that. But what it's been like, I think my approach to the fight game has really been just never say no to an opportunity. Like whoever it may be. And I know a lot of people say anyone, anywhere, but I tend to live by it, like I don't care who's in front of me, I'm here to prove that I'm the best. And sure, all right, I've lost a fight, but that doesn't phase me. If anything, it's given me an opportunity to step back and reflect. Okay, there's a few things I need to fix. I need to do this a little bit better. And credit to Sebastian Saleh, he's a very high caliber fighter. One I'd like to get back eventually, but when the time comes, of course. But he is a very high caliber fighter, but I wasn't afraid to take that opportunity at all. And I'm not afraid to take any other opportunity, like if tomorrow is a title fight, I'm saying yes. I'm always ready. And that's how it's been throughout my amateur career too. Because I remember there was another booked fight and then another one popped up. It's like, oh, do you want to take this many fights? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm here to fight and that's what I'm here to do. So I know you mentioned I don't get enough credit. I mean, I've kind of flown under the radar a little bit, I feel like, and I think lately I will be getting the credit that I deserve soon. I think if not with this fight, with the next, because like you can't ignore someone who's willing, not just willing to be there, but willing to take it and do what it takes to win. That can't be ignored for very long. And I know the tail of the tape for me has been like the underdog. Every time I've stepped into a fight, I've had the doubters against me, but that only serves to motivate me and prove people wrong. So um, you prove people wrong enough times, they're going to turn around and be like, well, maybe this guy's got something, So that's what I'm here to do, and I'm here to prove what I am.
No, yeah, definitely, and more like just living by the code. A lot of people can say anyone, anywhere, anytime. you know, but it feels like you have to kind of live by that code rather than just speak it into existence. And you've really done
Yeah.
that throughout not just your amateurs, but your pro career thus far. And like you said, and I know Steve Erceg, even in our interview with him, said the same thing, you know, you prove people wrong enough times and eventually they start believing in you. And I feel like you've got the perfect opportunity in front of you, and just the perfect run this summer, I feel like, is the perfect proving ground for the Lions Den boys to once again turn the critics into fans. And Joseph, I want to thank you so much for your time. Like I said, you know, long awaited chat with you. To get this one in, it's been a pleasure and privilege to speak with you and pick your brain. I guess on just one final note, what's your goals for 2024? Not just even professionally, but, you know, like academically, or, you know, just what are the goals for Joseph Davis to close out 2024 with a bang now that we're almost just about halfway through the year?
Well, definitely. Well, it's been fighting, you know. My goal is always to fight, man. I love fighting. So I think that's one thing that that loss with Seb Saleh has actually taught me where, you know, for some people, when things go wrong, you know, they may not come back the same way. But I think, like, reflecting on that loss, I was almost grateful for it in a weird way, because even though I had lost, I remember thinking, you know what, like I'll still love being here, you know? I still love fighting. I'm not discouraged at all. If anything, it kind of, you know, I want to get back in there straight away and fight the guy tomorrow, you know? But I think, like, my goals definitely, well, right now I'm focused on this fight against Kevin Kophamel, you know, obviously my goal will be to win that fight. I know I will be winning that fight. And then the next goal after that, I want to maintain that sort of activity, not at a ridiculous rate, but I will definitely seek to be active throughout 2024 and establish myself now in the professional scene. You know, I've only had 2 professional fights. I want to, you know, make a few statements with the next few fights coming up. So definitely, like you just said, end 2024 with a banger, and then follow that through into 2025 and start making a name for myself, you know, and start getting people to remember my name, you know.
Absolutely. And with a nickname like El Toro, I think it's hard to forget just how special of an athlete you are. And Joseph, thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait to watch you fight June 8th for the first time, Eternal MMA, with no absolutely bonkers time zone differences, because I will be in Europe at that time. I get to actually
Awesome.
sit down and watch all of the Eternal fights. And to the fans at home watching, do be sure to check out Joseph Davis against Kevin Kophamel at Eternal 85 on June 8th. It's going to be a fight card to remember. If you are not already following Joseph Davis on social media, do be sure to check him out on social media. As I always love to say, support your local fighter and check out El Toro across all platforms. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the interview. Do be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day, guys.